has a book and everything.
Well, see, I make all my notes on the phone, but then the phone's fucking, and I don't have my laptop here, so I actually write it down.
What do you do on your leg here?
Oh, this is playing footy. This one is absolute bitch of a thing. It's giving me heaps of trouble. Yeah. Alrighty. How's that gonna look? I reckon that'd be good. Andre, welcome, mate, to the potty.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know where this is heading, but I just want to, get familiar with asking people questions and just having cool conversations. So that's literally all this is about. If there's anything you don't want to talk about, or if we just get stuck at a point, we'll just move on. But
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm going to start with a little bit about you. So tell me about yourself, mate. Give me the ins and outs of who you were growing up as a kid, who you were like as a young adult, and then who you are now. Like I know a lot about you now, and you seem to live an incredible life. And yeah, I'm excited for you to share that here.
So instead of traveling around the world, I have to travel back into my memory.
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
Interesting.
So what were you like growing up as a kid? Like,
So our family is like two boys, my mom and dad and two boys, me and my brother, and he's like 3 years older. So I was the youngest, which is, I think, an advantage. I don't know. But as a kid, I was sick a lot and grumpy a lot. My mom still always called me her little sunshine, but I had a lot of problems growing up with like headaches, and I was a bit of a fatty kid.
okay.
People don't believe it when I say it, but
I
I was
definitely don't believe that, 'cause you're
chubby
ripped
one.
now.
Yeah, I was a chubby one. So
And you grew up here in the Netherlands, right?
yeah,
In
Netherlands,
Eindhoven?
yeah, Eindhoven, born and raised.
Yeah.
I've lived here my whole life
Yeah, yeah.
instead of 1 year traveling around the world. But
Okay.
yeah,
So
always
then
Eindhoven.
you went to school, I imagine, and
Yeah.
then did you head out into university?
Yeah,
do
so
anything like
I have
that?
an interesting route. I studied economics first. Well, I did like, I don't know what the school names are in English, but it's
Yeah.
like VWO is what we call it here. It was like you choose your direction, like you
Okay.
choose where you want to go.
Yeah.
And for me, it was economics because all my friends were doing it.
Right.
But it was definitely not what I liked.
No, I can't imagine you in economics.
Yeah, so I went to university in Tilburg for 2 weeks and I stopped and I was like, this is not my thing. I was
Yeah.
sitting there looking at 100, 200 people in
Lectures
class,
and stuff.
lectures.
Oh god.
Not my thing. I'm more of a practical guy, and so I was thinking like, what's next? I worked for a bit, few weeks, and then.
So this is around like 17, 18 years old.
yeah,
older?
around that. Yeah, when
time.
you start going to university, I guess.
So then
And,
2 weeks in university, and
yeah,
then
I was like, fuck this.
fuck that.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. Like we'll talk a little bit about this later, I think.
Yeah.
But I had a different experience with university. I didn't like it, but I stayed.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, but I want to stick to on
yeah.
track right now.
Yeah,
So
I thought like, what's next? What? Like I don't like economics. I don't want to do what all my friends do because it's just my friends. And I figured out I liked construction, architecture, all that stuff. But I didn't know there were like degrees in that. Whatever.
Yeah.
I never looked into it. So I figured out construction needs like a different route than the route I took.
Mhm.
So I reschooled myself in a different like college, whatever, to do like mathematics, physics, stuff like that, to be able to do like construction.
yeah, sick.
And then I had the option to go university again for construction, but too much lectures, too much stuff like that, and I wanted to have like a practical way to get everything taught. So I chose for what we call in the Netherlands HBO, which is not university, but you do get a bachelor. It's always hard to explain in English.
Yeah,
but
I understand.
so it's like just a little under university, but I guess worldwide we still would call it university.
Yeah.
I did my construction thing, and like after that, got my bachelor, went back to university.
Oh, right.
Tried
So
it
how
again.
long did you do the construction thing for?
It's about 4 years. So
Okay.
4 years you get your bachelor.
Yeah.
And then I went to university again to try it again, but now in construction, of course.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do like construction management, and then they only had building physics, which was very mathematical and physics.
Right.
I was doing that. It went really well. I needed to do a pre-master, then a master. But
And
during my masters, I was like,
Throughout this time, were there like moments, were you loving it? Like, did you feel fueled like every day? Were you getting up out of bed and?
I didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
I did like the theory and the stuff we were talking about, and I knew where it was going. But I wasn't in love with the school system and the things we do. I had fun with friends and
Yeah.
stuff, but I was studying hard. I was putting a lot of time and effort in it, just to make sure I get the grades. but I can't say I was enthusiastic about learning that way. No,
That's interesting.
no.
And then, so you did that for a while. And how old are you now?
I'm 34.
34 now.
Yeah.
And you, as far as I'm aware, you have been traveling around the world, creating content for different brands and businesses, and seeming to love it.
Yeah.
So when did that transition happen? When,
Yeah.
what age were you when that happened? And then what's been the feeling since while doing that? Like, has it been different? Has it been similar? Do you feel like you're still changing again? Like,
I'm always changing, but I feel great at the moment. Yeah. No, I started, I was working on construction and then I got stuck a bit. I call it my quarter life crisis.
right.
I was with my ex-girlfriend. We were together for a very long time, and it was like, okay, something in my life is not really working out. The girlfriend part was really good. Work was a bit like, I don't feel well. It's not that I hate my job. I kind of like it, but I don't love it. Something's wrong.
Just for my timeline here, what age are we talking here?
That's about 6 years ago, so
Okay.
28-ish.
28,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I had this idea to travel around the world for a long time.
Mhm.
So I talked to my ex-girlfriend back then, and I told her, like, I want to travel the world for at least a year, and I would love you to join me. But nothing's really going to stop me, so I hope you will. And then she was like, yeah, let's do it, but I have to save, like I'm working. She was like working in a good company, and so let's save for at least a year and a half to be able to do the trip. So we saved up to do a 1 year around the world. Long story short, we didn't go together.
Right.
I did go by myself.
But she planned to.
We booked and planned everything,
Wow.
and then last minute we grew apart. So
Right.
she
How last minute are we talking?
3 weeks.
Fuck, that's very
Yeah,
last minute.
I was devastated. I was very scared to go by myself.
Okay.
I'd never traveled by myself,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Okay.
taking the decision to travel around the world, do the thing I wanted to do is the best thing, like best.
And then, so
decision
you
ever.
just bit the bullet. You said, "Fuck it, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to head out anyway."
Yeah.
And you did the whole year traveling off your own wage. I imagine, like you weren't at this point
Work,
being
no,
any
nothing.
online income or
No,
anything like that.
it was like I saved a lot of money to travel around the world, careless, like fully free. It was amazing. No responsibilities, no financial struggles, whatever. So it was really good.
It's an unbelievable feeling. That.
Yeah,
It's an
man.
unbelievable feeling. Just, I remember when I was about 18 and I was so obsessed with like football, and I just got into like making a bit more money with like this job that I had back home, and I was set. And then I was like, nah, I want to go to Europe, and I traveled to Europe with a wage. Like I now travel around and I'm making money online, which is great. That's my lifestyle now. But going to Europe for 8 weeks with only the only thing that I was doing was having fun, seeing things, learning new about cultures and stuff. And it was just, there was no responsibilities. And I think back to that moment, and while it cost me probably like, I think it was like 12 grand or something like the whole trip, that 12 grand has left my bank account, but it has absolutely compounded into significantly more money down the line. Money and positive emotions and memories. It has been the best investment that I've ever made.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
12 grand,
Yeah.
And I think in your case, at 28, you've spent a whole year traveling, you've off your own back the money that you've saved. Although you've spent that money, it seems to me, since that moment,
That's the best.
you have now fucking, your life has been unreal since then.
Yeah.
28, you're fucking...
29 and 30. So I left 2019.
Yeah.
I left for the trip. So it was 2019, beginning of 2020 that I was traveling around, and everything that happened there, the breakup with my ex-girlfriend and traveling, changed me completely. I'm a complete different guy. People around me, but also like everyone who knows me is like is very happy that I did it that way, and me myself for sure. I'm very happy that I did it that way.
I'm going to get to the itty gritty in a moment about how you got into the content game. But you mentioned something before about you felt stuck. There was that in your university days or your construction days, whatever it was.
Yeah,
you felt that feeling of just, I can't go anywhere. I feel trapped. I have felt that before. I think a
Trapped
lot
is
of
the right
people
word,
feel that all day, every day. What would you give yourself advice? So your 25-year-old self, or you're stuck, or whatever it was. What would be the advice to that self of getting out of that rat race, to getting out of that stuck feeling?
Like follow your dreams, do whatever itches, like if you feel like you're stuck, find a way to get out of it. And for me that was traveling. For other people it can be, like a hobby or doing a crazy sports, they're afraid of, I don't know, jump out of the plane, something, you know.
Something to reset the system.
Yeah, something that breaks you out of the normal 9 to 5 kind of flow that we're supposed to be in, which I think very different of right now.
I think it just comes down to passion, man. Like, I think we get told these ideas that we should follow in this set path, but at the end of the day, like you said before, we are constantly changing.
Yeah.
Human beings are just constantly changing into different versions of themselves. And this idea that we should go to university, get a job, and work until we're 60 is fucking bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit, man. It doesn't work for anyone.
No.
People will trick themselves into telling it works for them, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think, unless, sorry, I'm going to add a caveat there, unless it is genuinely their passion.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if they love their passion and they can get up out of bed every single day and be like, yep, I'm doing what I fucking love.
Yeah.
There is no doubt in my mind or anyone else's mind that I'm doing that. Then fucking go for it and do it until it changes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that if you're not feeling that, if you're not feeling that drive, that motivation to get up out of bed and fucking tackle whatever your day is, then you need to do a hard reset and change into something that actually suits your needs and wants.
For sure. Yeah, I think people think like when I was younger, I wanted to be successful in a career and work towards a project manager or whatever. And now I live my life way more like, what do I want to do right now, and what do I want to do maybe next year? But I don't really look too far ahead.
5-year plans are stupid, man.
Yeah, if I want something else in 1 year or 2 years or next week, then I will follow that path and not get stuck because I had this idea that I wanted to go somewhere. Yeah. And that's what I had when I was working in construction. I was very much like career driven. I wanted to be that project manager within 2 years, which is it's a trajectory. Like it takes time.
Okay, so we're talking now a 1 year plan.
Yeah.
You've tell me more about the content. Like I'm so obsessed with this idea that you just make fucking wicked videos and photos for brands. Any brands, like it doesn't seem to have a niche or anything. It's just
it used to be a little bit adventure travel related. Now I'm adding ocean things to it, so it's getting more diverse.
I'm excited to talk about the ocean.
But for me, it started. I bought my first drone when the first Mavics came out. So it's like the foldable drone.
Oh yeah.
So the bigger drones for me was not useful because I wanted to travel with it, and I needed something smaller. So as soon as the brands came out with the smaller drones, I bought my first one, and every second I had not working or being in school, I took the drone out and just flew it anywhere, everywhere, just practicing rounds or taking photos or videos, and that's where it started. That was a few years before my trip.
And didn't you like intertwine your two worlds at that point where you,
I did.
Your construction gig that you had going on, you ended up using your drone to time lapse. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was working process management in construction, and then at some point, one of my former colleagues, now a good friend, she came to me and she told me this story about that they were writing a business plan for the construction company I was working for to see if they wanted to bring drones inside the company instead of hiring people. And I was like flying for 3 years already, so I was like, hello, hi, I fly drones, can we talk about this? This sounds cool. Long story short, I set up a whole drone department with some other colleagues within the company, and we just went out flying for all projects and just like pioneering inside the company and trying to express ourselves and like make content. We did mapping, video, photo, all the stuff, and and that was like that was 3-4 months I was doing that, and then I started traveling around the world. So it was a bit of a it fell all together. I thought I was about to quit my job, but they really wanted to have me back, so I was like, okay, I'll go for 1 year and I'll come back and we do the whole thing.
Yeah, nice.
We'll continue that.
So the drone, this isn't really important actually, I'm just interested. The drone, you'd film the construction sites?
Yeah.
And then what was the purpose of that footage? Is to market to more, I don't
We had
understand.
a few things that you can do at construction, like it's bigger projects, smaller projects. One's 3D mapping, so we take photos from top and it's like in a grid. You put it in the software and it's a 3D model. It's a 3D point cloud.
Ah, cool.
So you can do like measurements or
that's sick.
Volumes and all that stuff. It's in construction. This is one of the most important things.
I don't know why I thought it was just putting onto YouTube.
Yeah,
and
that too. It's like for promotional and marketing, videos, photos from projects. From beginning, mid, end, whatever. that for sure, like project videos, progress videos, but also inspections. So you fly with the drone to like
of course.
a bridge or you know, the highway, whatever. We inspect it with the drone. So it's yeah.
We'll talk a little bit here about opportunities. So you're in a construction business. You've bought a drone because it's something that you're interested in. You're like, I want to fly this. I want to get to learn how to do this. It's a new skill. And then you've integrated that into into the business somehow by putting your hand up saying, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
You seem to just take opportunities when they arise.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really, really valuable skill for anyone to have.
Yeah.
We are currently sitting here at a calisthenics park, which you built or helped build.
Not with my own hands.
Not with your own hands.
Yeah, I designed
but
it.
You came up with the concept and then you reached out to the city of Eindhoven, am I correct?
Yeah.
And said, I want funding for this. This is how many people I think was going to bring it. This is going to sort of be the positive feedback from it. And you started it.
Yeah.
That is an opportunity that's there for anyone to take.
Yeah.
There is no one gets an advantage with that. You've just gone, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I think that taking action on something that you're passionate about is such a fucking valuable skill.
That's what I tend to do. So if I like something, I go for it.
Yeah.
So I started calisthenics. I loved it. I did it for a short time with some friends, some people, and we were like, we need a place to train. Let's make it happen. And it was it took 3 years before we had the first. It's way bigger now than
so it started with just like a few little things.
It started with half of this, and then
you can't see it, but just over to the left here is like a giant wooden structure as well, with all like kind of like a Ninja Warrior sort of vibe to it. It's massive.
It's a survival run.
It's a survival run. Absolutely insane, man. I love that you think of these ideas and you bring them to life, and then you make it happen. I think I think it's impressive. Cool.
Appreciate it.
Let me go back to my book. I got a little sidetrack there. All right.
It's all good.
I've talked about all that. All right.
You were asking me about the content, right?
Yeah, let's dive back into that. So the construction thing happens, and now you've travelled around for the year, and then now, I mean, I've just been to Norway with you, May as well, and we did a whole bunch of shooting for a backpack company called Deuter. I'm not sure if it's just a backpack company, but
mainly,
and essentially they paid you to take photos and videos, and we came along and we were sometimes the models, sometimes the shooters. Like, how does somebody that's a photographer or a videographer that's not getting paid deals yet, like, what advice do you give them? Like, how did it all happen for you? What happened?
It's funny how it kind of started. So it all the way back, it started with me traveling and not wanting to pay anymore for hotels, building my Instagram a bit, building the way taking more photos and videos, so I know what I was worth and know what I can shoot and have high quality content. So I was like reaching out to hotels just for free stays. And I was like, okay, this works, so I can probably do this for brands too. So I was hiking around the world, walking around the world on a pair of shoes, and I was like, these are blown out, they're damaged, let's reach out to the company and see if we can work together. So I reached out to them. I said, hey, these shoes are broken. You want to work together? Not these, but
I got that.
And then they were like, yeah, sounds super cool. The story is great. We'll send you a pair of shoes in exchange for some Instagram exposure, which was great. And for me, it was like, oh, this works for brands too, not only for hotels or whatever. So,
because content's expensive, man.
Yeah.
Like, someone giving you a pair of shoes might cost them, I mean, the cost is probably like $50 or something if it's a really good pair of shoes, right? So it's costing the business $50 to give you a pair of shoes. But if they were to pay for a model, the camera gear, the time of the photographer, the editing, that's fucking way more than a good deal.
I started with doing
free
it
deals.
for free.
This is what I'm interested in.
Don't do that too long.
Because I am at that phase, right? I am at the phase where, I can get the free shoes, or I can get a couple of nights stay free.
Yeah.
How do I convince? And I think it's a limiting belief that I have to change in myself first. How do I end up getting them to not only give me the shoes, not only get me to stay in the hotel, but now they're paying me for it? That's because if you can do that, I think the world becomes much more of an oyster. A fucking playground, exactly right. If 1 second, because I've panicked all of a sudden that I didn't start this.
No way.
I panicked. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, we're good. At this moment, I was like, oh, imagine I haven't started it. That'll be horrific.
You're not gonna cut this out,
fuck.
right?
We're back anyway. That'll be part of it for sure. That'll be funny.
So, for me, what changed a lot is knowing your own value, understanding the value you offer as a content creator or influencer even, or if you know how to expose a brand to the world, or if you create content, can be go either way. You can combine it or do one of each. Um, uh, so yeah, just understand what you said. Content is valuable. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. You put a lot of time and effort in it, so it needs to be valued for that.
Yeah.
So before I thought hotels were doing me a favor, but now also having a portfolio, you know,
It all
creating
helps.
some
Yeah,
content
yeah.
to show them what you can make.
Yeah, I think that's
now
important.
I bring them value.
Yeah.
So if what you said, if they have to hire a model, someone to shoot, clear the location, whatever, it takes a lot of time and money. And now when I create content for hotels or for brands, just put that time and effort into money, into whatever you want to make an hour, and figure out what you need to be able to do that project.
I think it is a combination of a couple of things. It's one, it's doing good work. Like you have to be undoubtedly confident in your ability to give the customer or the consumer whatever it is that they want, right?
I agree, but if you're starting and you don't know yet if you can
still
show
start.
that, just bluff
Still
it.
fucking
Just
start.
go.
Yeah,
Just do
still
it.
start.
Or start creating content from things you already have and then show it to brands.
I agree. Definitely still start. That's always the advice.
Yeah.
But I think what helps, so the point that I'm at, where I'm trying to reach out to a hotel, right, and say, oh, I want to come and stay for a week, and this is what I would charge. The doubt comes in because I haven't had the success before, and therefore I start to think, oh, maybe I can't produce what they're actually after. Maybe it's not going to be what they want, so maybe it's not valuable to them.
Yeah.
But I think, can you trick your limiting belief there? And even without the previous success, can you still? I think you can. I just think it's a skill though.
Yeah, I think like I live my life as I trust myself and I know that I can do whatever I want. So if I have an idea, I want to do something, I'll just, you know, if I convince myself I can do it, I can definitely convince someone else. So if you think you can take great content from a hotel but you have never done it before, who cares? Just if you're the one that believes in
yourself.
you'll be able to do it.
Oh,
And you'll
fuck.
make mistakes and you'll grow along the way. And sometimes you send something to someone and he's like, oh, I wish it looked brighter, or I wish you shot the right side instead of the left side. Yeah, okay, who cares? Then
You learn.
next time you do a better briefing, or you say, this is the way I do it. If you don't like it, you go to a different brand or a different company. So you learn along the way what you can do, what you want to do.
And starting out, you've mentioned before about like combining the promotion of the business on your own social media accounts to your audiences, and then also delivering content for them to use for websites, marketing, whatever it may be, right? So what weight, let's just use a hotel as an example. What weight do you think the hotel puts on the content provided and the promotional side of things? Obviously depends on the audience that the creator has. Let's say let's use you as an example. You got 30,000 followers on Instagram. What weight, if you go to a hotel in the Netherlands, you live here, so hopefully your audience is mainly here, right? You go to the hotel and you say, all right, I want to make content, I'm willing to promote as well. How heavily do you think they weigh the content as opposed to promotional?
I don't think I have a real answer
tough
for
question.
that in general. Because I think it depends. If the hotel is really looking for content, then they will for sure. Like I've had both where they were like, content's nice if you want to, but we want exposure. But for me, I feel more as a content creator than an influencer.
Right.
I always do this. It's like I influence, so I don't have to do this. But because I like to create content and share it, and it's a big value, I feel. I think there's a lot of people promoting things on social media. We do influence when we do it, even if you have 1,000 followers, even if you have 1 million followers. If people see it and they like it, you've
influenced them.
you influence them. But I feel personally, for me, the creating the content has more value. That's the value, because I know I create good content. There's also influencers, content creators that walk around the hotel with a smartphone and do a quick film themselves like this is where I am and that's it. I try to create images and videos that the hotel or the company can really use and likes to use. And I also like it when I see it, whenever I left, see the images pop up on their social media.
That must be nice.
Yeah. So for me personally, it's content, but it really depends on the brand or the hotel, what they need or what they want. Sometimes it's just exposure.
Yeah, it's tough. It's interesting. Well, one thing I thought about there was like the professional videography and photography and everything. I think is super important for lots of companies. But the relatable, authentic iPhone content can also I think be really, really good for a lot of brands. So I've got something itchy in my nose.
Yeah.
And I think like for someone like me, I will try and make cool little reels for hotels and things like that. When really my skills are talking. Like I love to talk, right?
Yeah.
I should be getting in front of a camera and being like, I love this about the hotel, I love this, I love this, I love that.
Exactly.
But I don't, because like that's not, I don't know, I have this fear. I have this fear where it's like, oh, if I'm talking in front of the camera, someone's gonna see me, and then I'm gonna be judged and shit. And it's just like ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous.
That, no?
I know, it's ridiculous. But I still have that. I
mean,
would
we all
rather
do.
post something else, like than that talking. But I'm gonna reflect on that because.
Well, I think it's a very good one. So if I think about content which is useful for hotels, I think what they want people to show is what's nice about the hotel. So I can take a few photos and they can see what's nice. But if you're talking to the camera, to your audience, telling them like, this hotel is insane, the sauna was 90 degrees instead of 80, this is crazy, the hot tub was so cold, you cannot see that on a photo,
We're going to use the Forge glamping that we did as an example. That place was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great.
How many times did we go, oh, crazy, like this, right? This is a place in Norway we went to. It was unbelievable, but all I made was aesthetic reels. All I did, I should be like in there at the moment, like explaining it,
I think
telling them about the story from Christian that he was telling us about, like that. People would, I think, engage with that, and it would be better for the company than just me. Well, no, I think both are good. I do think both are good.
But you can combine it very well.
I think if my passions and skills are like that, lean into that.
For sure, because there's many ways to do it, and there's a lot of people doing different things. And I know a few people on social media that are quite big that do more of the talking, less of cinematic stuff, but they, you follow someone. I also started talking on my Instagram because people like it. They like the personal story. They like to see who you really are instead of just a nice drone image or just an underwater photo. Or whatever.
It's funny. I've got two mates, completely different. Both really successful on Instagram. One is just aesthetics, doesn't show his face at all. It's all like beautiful landscapes, but amazing, beautiful content. The other one is unbelievably famous on Instagram and just talks all the time. Just constantly telling stories and telling his life. And I think both of them are successful because that's what they're good at and they follow what they like rather than trying to be someone they're not. I still feel like I'm trying to be someone that I'm not.
No, stop with that.
Yeah.
Just make sure you show Alex. Do whatever you like to do. If you do what you like to do and you show people that, and they get enthusiastic about who you are and what you do, how nice is that?
You know what I love doing? I love doing this. I fucking love doing this, man. I could do this day in, day out. Get inspiring people that I find interesting and just sit down for an hour and have a conversation. Like, I fucking love it. So I'm going to try and lean into that a bit more, and you're going to see more episodes on the Alex Co podcast.
Back to the book.
Back to the book. Right. What draws you, mate, to the ocean? What is it about the sea that just like? So you never used to be a big sea monster, did you? You were.
Well, yeah. I always used to swim and play around when I was a kid with my dad and my brother. So I'm like really grown up with the ocean or rivers or whatever. We always snorkeled a bit, but never like scuba or free dive or whatever. And during my world trip, I started scuba diving. So I got my certificate. I did a lot of scuba diving, and it was nice, but always like playing around with a GoPro or whatever.
A bit fun, yeah.
Yeah, and then growing as a content creator, I decided last year to grab like a housing for my camera, which brings my actual camera on the water. I'm not saying GoPros are not actual cameras, but it makes a complete difference how you approach the wildlife on the water.
He still uses GoPros and everything, by the way.
I do. I have everything.
It's not like it's one or the other. Got the whole fucking.
I even have a GoPro on top of my house, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's the best way to capture a fast moment, just like your phone is the best way to capture something sometimes, because you're running around with a big camera and the thing you have right
Yeah.
here always. But yeah, so I decided to
Invest in the
literally
housing and
dive
then-
in the underwater photography world, and I got hooked.
Right. What was
And-
that moment like? What was the hook?
Well, I like to experience things, but also really like to capture it. So if I can do both things and sharing it, it's like those combined for me is the perfect match.
Yep. So experience, capture, and share.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think the first time I brought my underwater housing in the water was in Bali, in Lovina. There's this funny thing they do there where they have these small boats. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's a small boat, and on the sides you have this little like a little bar where you can hang on and just put your face in the water, and you
Yeah.
kind of go with the boat next to the dolphins.
cool.
It's amazing.
Oh wow.
So that was the first time I brought my underwater housing in the water, and I didn't even know how. Like I barely knew how to close my housing.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to keep it safe.
Don't want to lose your
Some
camera. at the
buttons
sea.
didn't work. I don't know, whatever. So it was like just a
Yeah.
first try.
Yeah.
And then, but I loved it. And then I don't know, brought it in the water in my next trip in Japan, and I was like, oh man, the content you can create with this housing instead of the GoPro.
Yeah.
Like mainly extra for me was the higher quality photos. Like video GoPro is really good.
Yeah.
Like and capturing that moment you're seeing on the water better than with just that thing in your hand made me excited to do it more. And
What's some of the coolest things you've shot underwater?
I mean,
Give me three.
a group of sperm whales. That's
Okay.
like I think we had about 6 sperm whales socializing, what they call it, like playing together. Us as small puppets being close to it, next to it, and they accepting us in
Yeah.
their like kind of pack to take content with them and enjoy their company, and that was sick. So
Yeah.
sperm whales for sure is on there.
Nice.
One of the number one will forever will be orcas.
Orcas. Yeah.
Yeah, that was absolutely mad.
How fast are they swimming past?
They're
you?
so fast. So imagine a dolphin, like an orca is kind of a dolphin, and a dolphin is really like they can do whatever. They can go fast and upside down.
Spins and
And an orca does the same. It's just way bigger.
Yeah,
and,
wow.
and when they can also breach, jump out of the water. And I was in the water once when one was going for it behind the
Yeah.
boat. So then it's like they do like, and then it's insane how fast they go.
That
So they just
sounds hectic.
put their fin down and they go so fast.
And,
they
and
can,
when you're in there, like I think I've told you this, I would be scared. I know they're not like going to eat me, right? But I just would
do you know that?
Well, probably, I actually don't. I have no idea about that. Probably why I get so scared.
Yeah.
But there's something about being in the sea that terrifies me. Like
Yeah.
I love the ocean. I love going swimming and stuff. It's all good. But like we're in their habitat,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they are so fucking powerful, man. And just
Yeah.
the sheer like ability to move in the sea like that, and you're just helpless. You're just absolutely
Yeah,
helpless.
yeah,
That
yeah.
scares me sometimes.
Yeah.
So when you're
That
there,
excites me.
yeah, okay. So that's such an interesting.
I don't really
difference.
have that feeling. So I don't really feel. There's not a moment where I've felt scared with you.
That's good.
I also know for a fact.
Is it like a playful feeling? Are you feeling like you're in, like you're out there and they're interacting with you or anything like that?
Yeah. When you get like eye contact with such a big animal like a whale or a killer whale or orca, it touches you from the inside. Like when the
Yeah.
first time I looked into the eye of a sperm whale, I got like goosebumps all over.
wow.
It's like you feel that connection. They kind of accept you next to them in their
Wow.
waters. I mean,
That
they're
is
also
amazing.
fucking scary. If they want to do something to you,
Yeah,
they
that's
can,
it.
but like they don't apparently.
That's
So
very interesting.
yeah, no, it's also, it humbles me,
Yeah.
being such a small, tiny like guest on this planet. I feel like, and then also being in the water, even feeling more like a guest.
Yeah. You're literally at their mercy, aren't you?
Yeah,
Like, it's,
that's
it.
and it can be anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on from the ocean because I would like to get into a couple of deeper things before we
Deeper than the
in the
ocean.
ocean. Didn't even mean to do that. That was good. How are you going for time? Are we all right? Are we?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll try and wrap up in like 15 minutes,
No
so we'll try
worries.
and move up a bit quicker. All right, I've got two questions here. Actually, give me one or two, and I'll give you that first. Doesn't matter which one you pick. One or two.
Two.
All right. Do you want kids?
I do. Yeah.
You do?
Eventually.
All right.
Yeah.
That was easy. Go to the next one then. Sweet. I'll come back to that maybe a bit later.
Yeah.
What are the three most important things that you value in a friend? So
Oh, that's an interesting question.
if it was your best friend, what would be the three values or the three things that you would hope that person would uphold the most?
Yeah. Well, I value open and honest communication in family, friends, relationships, whatever. So for me, being able to talk about anything with a friend, that's very important. That's so, and it's different for every friend. Like some likes to talk more, is more open to talk about deeper things or whatever. It
Yeah.
doesn't always have to be like the deepest, but as long as we can, you know,
I think-
say it when we're annoyed by each other, or say it when we get excited, or when
I think
we,
there's boundaries
you
in
know.
every relationship, but like honesty, I think is the number one thing
Yeah.
that someone should uphold. I think that honesty with yourself, more than anything, needs to be the priority.
Yeah,
If you can't honestly tell yourself about your flaws, about when you should be vulnerable, about when you're wrong,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the number one thing we should work on. And then obviously, when you're honest with yourself and you have nothing to hide, I think that transmutes into the relationships that you have in the world.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that is definitely the number one thing, and that's certainly something that I practice every day with myself and with my relationship with May and the rest of my people in my life.
Yeah,
So.
for me, like a relationship with, you know, a partner, it's kind of the same as with a good friend. You should be able to talk about anything. Should be showing each other love. You know, like in a way that I hug my friends. You know, like it's. That's also something that I think is very important, to appreciate each other and show each other appreciation. And everyone does that in a different way.
Appreciation. I crave appreciation,
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Like it's my currency in my relationship. May could give me gifts and she could give me, you know, affection and everything like that. But what I love, what I crave genuinely, and I've told her this, is if I do something nice, if I do get you a gift, it's not about
don't really work that way. Like I'm more on the joy, pleasure, happiness side of life, I think. Of course, we all have moments or experiences in life that bring a lot of pain, and we all had it.
Yeah.
And I do think the ones that, the moments in my life where I had a lot of pain or sadness, or, you know, something happens you don't really want or expect, it always brings me more after. A big breakup makes me grow. Losing someone makes me appreciate other people more. You know, like getting stuck in a job or a burnout brings me so much. Like I had a burnout where after the burnout I decided to start my own company. Well, the best thing that I could ever done. But I probably wouldn't have done it if I didn't get that moment where I really had to stop, you know. So I think, not sure if that's the exact answer to the question you're looking for, but for me it's like not the deep lows, but, you know, getting pulled back and then growing after. So I think I'd lean more towards pleasure. But if your question was if we can handle or receive,
No. You answered the question how I was asking it. I think there's multiple prongs to this question, I guess. What I used to think, and I'm not sure if I don't think this anymore. I actually don't know where I sit on this pain-pleasure discussion fence that I've created in my own mind. I used to think that pain and pleasure were essentially equal, and that no matter what, my existence throughout my entire life, I will experience the exact amount of pleasure as I do pain. The exact amount, right? And I had this concept that I would always refer to when having this discussion with someone. I would be like, okay, while I might seem to have more pleasure than, say, a little boy in Africa who is thirsty, right? While I would seem to have the better life and more pleasure, that little boy, right, when he drinks water, gets a higher level of pleasure than I would drinking water, right? And from that, I had this mentality that it levels out, and my experience is there's like a baseline level of something, and then it works out. That was my mentality, and I would sort of, I think my ego would get in the way here, and I would sort of back that, and then I would just believe it. And I'm not sure where I sit anymore, because I truly think that you can focus your attention on elevated emotions like joy and happiness and love. I think you can direct more of your awareness and your attention to those emotions. If you can, if that's a fact, which I think it is now, this is answering my question really.
Yeah, I think
then you can absolutely experience more pleasure than pain.
Yeah, I think
however,
that's you're explaining.
Yeah.
What I was trying to.
Yeah. However, what I do think is true as well, I've got back on my word here a little bit. Because I used to think that pain equaled pleasure, I used to take the mentality that if I seek out pain, if I seek out discomfort, then I get pleasure that I wasn't seeking, right? So then I could actually choose my pleasure. I could choose my pain to then gain more pleasure. And then if you can choose your pain and learn to love the pain, I'm going to use a couple examples here. Cold showers. They're not comfortable. Cold showers are not comfortable in the slightest. But I do them because I stand under that cold shower because I know that afterwards I'm going to feel better. I'm going to get the pleasure after, right?
Yeah.
So now we're looking at the cold shower. Is that actual pain? Well, it is technically, but I'm choosing it and I'm okay with it. And I learn to deal with that pain so then I get more pleasure. And I think people choose the comfort. I'm generalizing here.
Yeah,
people choose the comfortable item way more than they choose the uncomfortable one. And therefore, it has to balance out. Then their psychological suffering happens, and that pain, I'm not just talking about physical pain necessarily, I'm talking about like psychological pain as well. It all eventuates out. Amadablin was a mountain that I climbed. 30 days I spent in the pool. That was excruciating pain for such an extended period of time. Survivor was painful for 2 months. And I think that I'm reaping rewards because of it. And you'll never be able to link rewards to pain. You'll never be able to understand exactly where it's come from. But I truly thought, and I'm not sure if I'm flirting with the idea of not believing this anymore, but I thought that if I went through more pain and suffering, that I would get a better life. It's just an interesting concept.
Well, for me, what pops up when we talk about this is like getting out of your comfort zone, and that's one of the things that matches with this a lot. And I love to get out of my comfort zone because I know great things happen after. And you name a few things that I've done or in a different way, but like the cold showers, you get out of your comfort zone, but then after you get this like great feeling. But also now getting into cold water is not a thing anymore.
Right.
So it's like I get out of my comfort zone of getting into the cold, and now the cold is kind of a comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it's the same with like
And then it becomes like this, oh, if I can deal with a cold shower and get into cold water, well, the other things in my day that normally give me stress, well, a little bit easier, you know? It's all a little bit easier because I can do this now. Exactly. And we're using cold shower as an example, but you can use anything. You having the conversation, having a difficult conversation with your partner, that's uncomfortable. That's pain, right? But if you do that you grow, and then all of a sudden doing it next time is easier. And then if that's easier, then it's like, oh, everything else in my life becomes easier, right? If I can have that conversation, then I can have the one with my mum now. Yeah. So I think that, like you said, getting into your uncomfortable zone and then just being there and getting comfortable with it, fuck, it's superpower, man.
Yeah.
Absolute superpower.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I love
Last
that.
question, mate. Last one.
Give it to me.
Death. Hello. We're going to finish up. So, death. I want to know what your thoughts are on death. I think we spoke about this briefly in the car in Nepal. What do you think happens when you die?
Yeah.
Such an impossible question, but I love it. It's like, how do you answer that?
Yeah, I think we talked about it briefly, but firstly, I don't know.
I've
never been.
I think I would be very surprised if you did. Very concerned if you knew. What do you think happens?
Well, I'm very open-minded in this way, so I don't have a certain honest answer yet. I think I don't think it ends completely. I don't think it turns into something black, or also don't really believe in heaven or hell.
Okay.
But I'm open to figure out.
I like it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a hard one.
It is a very hard question. It's you know what I love about the question is there's no answer to it, man.
Yeah.
If I ask someone who's Christian, they're going to tell me about heaven, right? If I ask someone who's atheist, they're going to be like, they might say it's
Nothing.
black, right?
Yeah.
I used to think growing up as a kid that it was black and it was boredom. I used to think that the consciousness was still there, but I couldn't do anything, and I would just exist, and that terrified me. It terrified me as a kid, and I grew up sort of pushing death away and trying to avoid it. And while I'm not welcoming death, while I don't want it to arrive on my doorstep tomorrow, I've built a relationship with it that's good. I'm like, you know, death is gonna happen to you.
Scary.
It's gonna happen to that person. It's gonna happen to me. It is not. No one is ever going to avoid it. So why do we run from it? I've learned to just accept that it's coming and build the relationship with it. And when it does come, I will accept it. I think that what happens is this body that I'm in now decays. It goes away. But the consciousness, the signal that is my consciousness will remain. It will exist, and it might pick up. It might, like I use this example. Imagine my body is like a TV.
Yeah.
And then my consciousness is like the signal. And then when the signal goes on the television, it all appears to be working like this. But if the TV breaks, the signal hasn't gone. The signal's not just vanished, right? It's still in existence. It might now be picked up by a radio or a new device that we can't conceive, right? And then existence continues, but it just in a different form. That's what I think happens, which is liberating. It's fucking liberating, right? Because it's like, well, if this body dies, whatever the vessel comes next, let's get excited for that train, right? Yeah, might not be a train, it might be something else. But like that's just the way I think about it now. And I thought to myself, I think I mentioned this on the mountain in Troctoga actually. I remember I was like, what if it's better? What if this whole thing that we're living right now is 10x the moment you die? It's the most crazy thought.
Well, I just make sure that the life you live now,
that's all
any
we can
moment
do,
that it would be over, you'd be like, okay, but I lived an amazing life.
Right.
And I think that's for me the most important thing.
I think that has developed into my life goal, is get to the end of, whenever the end of my life is, I get there without any regrets. I'm like, yep, I did everything the way that I wanted to do it. I didn't hold back on anything. I didn't let my ego get in the way. I didn't try to please someone else. Just get there, whatever that point is, with as little regrets as possible. That's my life goal.
Sounds nice.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Likewise.
Thank you very much. Where do all my 23 viewers or whatever, where can they find you? Want to give yourself a bit of a plug?
Mainly Instagram.
Instagram.
Andre Smits with an underscore. Also YouTube, still working on getting more content there, but that's mainly where
this is going to be on YouTube, so we'll definitely...
It's the same one, Andre Smits, and then...
You're a legend, man. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll help you up. That was sick. Fuck yeah. Potty number 2 done. That's awesome.